free iHeartRadio.
You're live.
All right, we're just talking about the Pac-12 and the Mountain West as AI expansion and realignment is entering all these different phases. It's been a kind of a complicated, somewhat confusing, chaotic type of week when you look at the latest round of realignment. And the question is for the bowls, especially the big-time bowls like the Fiesta Bowl, how is that going to look in the future of these bowls, especially when we as a community get to host two, the Furbo Fiesta Bowl and the Guaranteed Rate Bowl down in Phoenix. And Erik Moses joins us now, as you heard the big voice guy. Erik, a good Friday to you. And how are you as the executive director trying to keep up with this and trying to kind of look in your crystal ball and see how is this going to affect us, or will it affect you at all?
I've been looking for that crystal ball in my welcome package when I first got here, and I have yet to find it.
Good job.
I don't know where it is, but look, we all know that this change is probably in its middle stages. I think there's still more to happen. There is a domino effect that happens when the Big Ten and SEC get bigger, and you have a Pac-12 kind of decimated the way it was. Washington State and Oregon State, to their credit, in some ways, weren't willing to let that conference die. And so they're trying to reconstitute that, which then means, okay, we're going to the Mountain West because of some regionality. We're going to steal some of their teams and bring them over. And then the Mountain West has to go to the AAC and other conferences, Conference USA, and look to take teams from them. So it's a domino effect. I don't think it ends anytime soon. I think we in the bowl system are okay unless the playoff becomes a much larger number of teams than 12 or 14, right? Because you got to think right now, the way the playoffs are, if the team that wins our game this year as a quarterfinal moves on, they're moving on to another bowl game,
mm-hmm.
right? So one team will play in two bowl games as opposed to in the old system, you're basically playing in one bowl game. So it's not going to affect the bowls like the Guaranteed Rate Bowl and other non-New Year's Six bowls right now. But if that number should balloon to 18 or 20 teams or something like that, you could see some adverse effects.
Erik, what about and we're not knocking any other bowls, of course, but when one bowl wants to kind of put it out there like, oh, we only want to play at a certain time and a certain day, how does that affect the other bowls? And I understand the tradition of this one particular bowl, but I just kind of I sit back and I'm like, all right, let's and not that we compete against that bowl, but to me, I hear that and I just like, oh, come on, give me a break. I mean, the bowl's gonna be bigger than the system.
Well, it's interesting that you say that. I think there is a natural tension in the system and the bowl system in particular, and especially with those of us that have the good fortune to kind of be in the New Year's Six rotation. There's a natural tension between the way bowl games started, which were communities like ours deciding that we wanted to bring people here, that we wanted to give local universities an opportunity, that we want to bolster our economies, et cetera, and us putting together a game and running that, everything from the hospitality to making certain we were raising the money to pay the teams, all of those things. What you've had happen over the last, call it 30 or 40 years, is this move towards consolidation in a way that, at least as far as the postseason is concerned in college football, the college football playoff system, or the CFP, is consolidating power now. And those games, they still belong to our communities, but less than they did when they got started.
Well, and that's interesting to hear that you would think that the team players, all that involved with the Bulls, would coincide. One thing, with Helene, the Storm back there on the East Coast, Appalachian State and Liberty, that game being canceled, not going to be replayed, at least at this point in time. So you got a Liberty team that's 4-0. And let's say they don't get their 12 games in, they end up 11-0. Boise State ends up 11-1. So you're on the outside looking in reference to the playoff scenario here now, Erik Moses. You think that the wheels are spinning with the playoff committee as far as how to account for that if they both run the gambit at undefeated without that extra game in there?
Yeah, they run all the scenarios. I mean, I have been in that room and been through the mock selection process. They run all the scenarios, and they start doing it, frankly, in October, and keep moving through as the season continues. You know, Liberty will have to win a conference championship, right? And so that's another game that could help to decide that. So, you know, I think that's the way that would probably ultimately be decided.
Erik Moses joining us here, Executive Director of the Verbo Fiesta Bowl and Guaranteed Rate Bowl here on Fox Sports 910. All right, as we turn our attention here to this week, you know, there's some great games in the Big 12 Conference with Utah and Arizona, Oklahoma State, Kansas State. Is there one in particular that you're looking at that you kind of say, oh, this could be this could have something to do with what we're hosting here beginning in December?
Well, the two that you mentioned, of course, K-State and Oklahoma State at 20 and 23, respectively. BYU Baylor. BYU sitting at 22 and being undefeated right now. You know, BYU was here, I believe, for an early season game in 2017, I think it was. And my understanding is that game did really well. I know we've got a lot of BYU fans in and around Arizona. And so, you know, if we believe, which at this point we do, that the Big 12 champ will likely be the host team in our game this year, I'm keeping my eye on how things go in the Big 12, and I think BYU coming here could be great. I'm not saying I favor them or anything like that. I'm just saying I want to keep an eye on that, and obviously see. I know K-State travels as well. Oklahoma State has been in both of our games within, I think, the last 5 or 6 years. So, you know, and the hometown favorites would always be nice to have a little hometown cooking in either or both of our games.
Well, don't look beyond the Colorado Buffaloes. You talked about prime time. UCF 3-0, Colorado 3-1 after that Hail Mary twice. One dropped and one caught. They're in Boulder. But I tell you what, you look at this Colorado team, if they can eke by a couple of these games, they might be in the mix as well there too, Erik.
You know, it's funny. I think about it as a promoter, knowing that Colorado's team, I think is good. I don't think they're great. They're not going to compete for the CFP playoffs or anything like that this year, but they might still stand. And so they present an interesting kind of opportunity if they were able to make it into one of our games. I think it'd be interesting. But I got to ask you, Manoj, do you think Shedeur threw the guy open in that Hail Mary? Because he threw it to a gap in the end zone. He didn't throw it to the guy. He threw it to a space.
Yeah, he did. And he even mentioned that. He got to the left and got to the outside. And because that kid was, you're right, on the sideline, he threw it back inside because he said, I wanted to give him a chance. It was pouring. A lot of folks realize how hard it was pouring. That kid slips. The kid goes back inside. There's no other coverage. I'm like, hey, Erik, where's the safety to help that guy out on that side? But great catch, great throw. And, yes, he did throw him open back to the inside, if that answers your question.
Yeah.
All right, Erik. One thing that, or one of many things at the Fiesta Bowl and Guaranteed Rate Bowl is a lot of community. And one of them starts with Friday Night Showdown. And big weekend, Chandler, Highland, two of the best teams in the state. They're going to be at Highland. They got a lot of Power 4 commitments on both these teams. This is the big one, isn't it? This is the big one of the season.
Yeah, last year in the regular season, I think Chandler eked out a win 24-22, and so I think there's going to be some bad blood on both sidelines here to run this one back. Great game, a continued kind of demonstration of the talent that we have in state here and at the high school level. We're happy that we're going to be able to be there and you know, hopefully bring some more attention to what these kids are doing and that these teams are doing on the field.
The other thing on top of that is that Highland beat them in the playoff game last year in the Open. So there's that too. And if you can't make it out there, Erik, just turn on Channel 13. You'll see.
Oh, you're doing the game, Manoj?
We're doing the game tonight.
You finally got a good game.
I got a good gig tonight.
Yeah. See, Erik, Manoj usually gets like like the Mac school, game, level, so he's finally getting a Power 5, school, which is kind of nice.
They're going to give me my break tonight, Erik. They're giving me my break.
I'm going to watch. I'm going to critique the announcers. Good. Yeah, I'm going to watch for that.
I'm glad somebody's going to watch. No, I'm just kidding. All right, Wishes for Teachers. Applications close on Monday, so this is your last chance. Can I just expand on this for the Wishes for Teachers? I know we as a community, or Fiesta Bowl has donated $1.25 million to teachers across the state, and that number is going to continue to grow. But talk a little bit about Wishes for Teachers for those that want to get the application by Monday.
Yeah, look, $7 million donated over the last 8 years. Another $1.25 million will go out this year. If you know a teacher, a school nurse, a coach at a school personnel, guidance counselors, anyone who works in a school, public school with our young people, encourage them to apply online, wishesforteachers.org. And it takes 5 minutes to fill out the application, and they could get their wish granted. We know, as I've said before, that there's a lot of work to be done to help support these teachers, the important work that they're doing in these classrooms with the next generation of our leaders, our residents, our citizens here, and they deserve our support. $1.25 million is a drop in the bucket compared to the level of need, but buckets don't get filled unless we start putting drops in them. And so we're doing it, and we're hoping to inspire others to follow our lead and to help these teachers out so that they can provide the best learning environment for their young people.
All right, again, wish the applications close on Monday. That is the 30th, your last chance. Wishesforteachers.org. Wishesforteachers.org. Erik, have yourself a great weekend, buddy. We'll talk to you next week.
Looking forward to it, guys.
Erik Moses, Executive Director of the Verbo Fiesta Bowl Guaranteed Rate Bowl here on Rocket Manooch with Jimmy B. Baseball fans, shifting gears. We're giving away a pair of tickets to the 12th Annual Mexican Baseball Fiesta at Camelback Ranch this Sunday. It's going on all weekend there, but Sunday is the last day, and we got tickets for the doubleheader. You got 4 premier teams from the Mexican Winter League that are going to be there. They're playing. You got amazing musical performances, authentic Mexican food, vendors, and so much more. And we are excited to team up with the Taco Spot. Tacos to talk about. They got now 12 locations in the Valley. They are growing like crazy. I'm told they're going to get to 20, 25. They're going to be all over the Valley. Your chance to win those tickets are coming up at 3 o'clock. And remember, that one ticket will get you in for both games and the post-game entertainment. And again, thanks to our partners at the Taco Spot. Tacos to talk about. Coming up, Learn in a Row Pick'em contest. We need one contestant to challenge Kevin Rowe for a swag bag, which could be valued up to, I don't know, $100, $200, $300. I mean, it's pretty cool. And what's interesting is Kevin was on a roll. He was on a roll. He won 3 weeks in a row. Not until last week, and Mark Marietta, who picked up his swag bag earlier this week. So Kevin is going to join us next. We need a challenger, 602-260-9191, 260-9191. Your chance is next. It's Rocket Manooch with Jimmy B, Fox Sports 910.
Join the team at the largest towing company in the state, All City Towing.